I used to believe my life was perfect, at least as close to perfect as any man could reasonably hope for. I had a wife I adored, a best friend I trusted like a brother, and a future I thought was secure. Looking back now, I realize how naive I was. I thought loyalty meant something. I thought love was unbreakable. I thought betrayal was something that happened to other people in cautionary tales, not to me. But life has a cruel way of teaching lessons you never wanted to learn. Her name is Cynthia, my wife. For years, I introduced her with pride, with a small smile on my lips and warmth in my chest. We had been married for 7 years. 7 long years of laughter, struggles, shared secrets, and silent mornings with coffee on our tiny balcony. I had always pictured us growing old together, our hair gray, our bodies frail, but our hands still entwined. And then there was Mark, my best friend since childhood. We grew up in the same neighborhood, went to the same schools, shared the same troubles. He was more than a friend, he was family. I trusted him with everything. I would have given him my last coin if he needed it. He was the uncle to my children I thought I would one day have. Those 2 people were my safe circle, my world. But together, they became the blade that pierced my heart. It began with whispers I couldn't quite place. Subtle changes in Cynthia's behavior that I brushed off at first. She started dressing differently, taking more care in her appearance when she was just going out for errands. Her phone, which she once left lying around the house without a thought, suddenly became glued to her hand. When she wasn't holding it, it was face down, locked, or stuffed into her bag. I told myself I was imagining things. After all, she was my wife, my Cynthia, the woman who had promised me forever at the altar. Surely I was just overthinking. Surely I was just being insecure. But then came the late nights. Work ran late, she would say. Traffic was terrible. Or the vague, I just needed some air, so I went for a drive. Excuses that, in the moment, sounded reasonable. But when they started piling up, one after the other, the pit in my stomach grew heavier. Still, I pushed it aside. I had to, because the alternative was unthinkable. It wasn't until one Friday evening that the truth began to take shape. She said she was going out with her colleagues for drinks. Something inside me, some stubborn whisper of instinct, told me to follow her. I never had before, but that night I did. I told her goodbye with a smile, waited 15 minutes, then drove after her. She didn't go to the city bar she mentioned. She didn't go anywhere near her workplace. Instead, she parked in front of a quiet little restaurant on the edge of town. I watched from a distance as she stepped out of the car, her face glowing, her smile wide in a way I hadn't seen in months. And then he appeared. Mark, my best friend. He walked up to her like it was the most natural thing in the world. And she lit up. They hugged. No, not a friendly hug. The kind of hug that lingered, the kind that spoke volumes. The kind of hug that stabbed me in the chest like a dagger. I felt my world tilt. My vision blurred. I remember gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles went white. My breath came shallow and fast. I wanted to storm out of the car, scream, hit him, drag her away. But something in me froze. I stayed still, paralyzed, as if moving would shatter whatever remained of my world. They walked inside together, side by side, their hands brushing, their bodies leaning too close. I sat in that car for over an hour, my heart a war drum in my chest. When they finally came out, they kissed. A soft, secret kiss under the dim glow of the streetlight. That was the night I died inside. I didn't confront her. Not then. Not the next day. Not the day after that. Instead, I carried my silence like a weapon, sharp and waiting. If I erupted in anger, they would deny it. They would twist it, gaslight me, make me question my sanity. I knew Cynthia well enough to know she would cry, beg, and find some excuse. And Mark, he was sly, silver-tongued. Together, they would bury me under lies. So I waited. I began to collect the truth piece by piece, like shards of glass scattered across the floor. I checked our phone records, noting the late-night calls that always seemed to happen when I wasn't around. I found messages she thought she had deleted but lingered in her cloud backup. Words that cut deeper than any blade. I can't stop thinking about you. When I'm with him, I just imagine it's you. Promise me we'll always have this. Each word was a hammer striking the coffin of our marriage. I even hired a private investigator, though I never thought I'd be the kind of man to do such a thing. Within weeks, he handed me a folder filled with photographs. Cynthia and Mark together, in hotels, in his car, walking hand in hand in places they thought were hidden. Each photo felt like another nail driven into my chest. I would stay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe beside me, pretending to be asleep while she texted him in the dark. I memorized every sigh, every smile she hid from me but gave to him. But I stayed calm, because if betrayal was the storm, then I would be the silence before it. While Cynthia lived her double life, I began to quietly prepare my escape. I moved money from our joint account into a private one she didn't know about. I contacted a lawyer, explaining everything. We worked in secret, building a case so airtight she couldn't slip through the cracks. I kept the mask on during the day, smiling, laughing, playing the role of the loving husband while my heart was rotting inside me. Cynthia didn't notice, or maybe she didn't care. She was too busy sneaking away, too busy feeding her addiction to Mark. Sometimes she would come home late, her hair disheveled, her excuse rehearsed. I would look at her, force myself to smile, and say, "It's fine, love. I trust you." Inside, I was screaming. But patience, I reminded myself, is the sharpest weapon. The day of reckoning came sooner than I expected. It was our wedding anniversary. 7 years. She suggested we celebrate with a small dinner at home. Just as she said. Something intimate. I agreed. I cooked her favorite meal, poured the wine, and lit the candles. She dressed up, looking radiant, but I could see the guilt flicker in her eyes when she caught me staring too long. Halfway through the meal, my heart hammering against my ribs, I excused myself. I walked to the study, retrieved the folder of evidence, and returned to the table. I set it down beside her plate. "What's this?" she asked, her voice light, but her hand trembled as she touched the cover. "Open it," I said. My voice was steady, colder than I expected. She hesitated, then flipped it open. The photographs stared back at her. Her face was drained of color. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. "I know," I whispered. "I've known for months." Her eyes filled with tears. "It's not what you think, don't," I snapped. "Don't you dare insult me with lies. Not after everything." She crumbled then, sobbing, begging, reaching across the table for my hand. I pulled away. The sound of her crying, once something that tore at my soul, now felt hollow. "Empty. I loved you," I said, my voice breaking. "I gave you everything, and you betrayed me." "I made a mistake," she pleaded. "It was stupid. It didn't mean anything." I laughed, bitter and sharp. "Didn't mean anything? Then why Mark? Why the one man I trusted most in this world? You didn't just cheat on me, Cynthia. You destroyed me." Her face was pale as ash as she stared at the photographs scattered across the dinner table. Our anniversary dinner, a night meant to celebrate love and vows, now turned into the stage for her exposure. "Please, let me explain," Cynthia stammered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Explain what?" I snapped, my voice shaking though I tried to keep it steady. "The kisses? The hotel rooms? The late night calls? Or maybe you want to explain why my best friend, Mark of all people, was the one you chose to betray me with." Her lips trembled. She buried her face in her hands, sobbing. For a brief moment, I felt a flicker of pity. But then the images in that folder came back to me, the lies, the months of deceit, the hollow excuses, and the pity turned to rage. "You had a choice," I said coldly. "Every single time, Cynthia, you had a choice, and you chose him." She reached across the table, desperate. "It wasn't like that. I was lonely. You were always working, always busy. I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. Don't you dare blame this on me." I cut in, my voice sharp. "I worked for us, for our future, for the life we planned. And while I was breaking my back to build that life, you were sneaking around with him." Her sobs grew louder, but they no longer pierced me. I sat back, watching her unravel, a hollow ache in my chest where love once lived. "You destroyed everything," I whispered. For days after that night, Cynthia tried to mend what she had broken. She begged. She pleaded. She swore it was over, that she would do anything to earn my forgiveness. But her words were empty. Trust, once shattered, cannot be pieced back together. I didn't yell. I didn't hit. I didn't even curse her name. My silence was worse. Calm, cold, final. She grew frantic, sensing me slipping further away with each passing day. She deleted her social media, blocked Mark's number in front of me, and promised she would never speak to him again. But I already knew the truth. She couldn't let him go. Even as she swore it was finished, I saw the flickers of longing in her eyes, the way she lingered by her phone, waiting. And Mark? He didn't even have the decency to face me. The man I had trusted with my deepest secrets, the man who stood beside me in every stage of life, vanished like a coward. He ignored my calls, avoided our usual places, disappeared into the shadows of his guilt. Or maybe it wasn't guilt. Maybe it was just fear of being caught in the wreckage. I met with my lawyer again. We finalized everything. The evidence I had collected, the photographs, the messages, the investigators' reports, was more than enough to file for divorce. When I told Cynthia, she collapsed. She begged on her knees, clinging to my leg like a child. Please don't leave me. I'll change. I'll be better. We can go to therapy. We can fix this. I looked down at her, at the woman I had once loved more than life itself, and felt nothing. You should have thought about that before you destroyed our marriage, I said, my voice like ice. Her wails echoed through the house as I walked away. The divorce process was swift and brutal. Thanks to the evidence, I secured the house, the savings, and nearly everything else. Cynthia left with little more than her clothes and her shame. For months afterward, she tried to contact me. Long emails filled with apologies, late night calls I never answered, letters slipped under my door. Each one was more desperate than the last. She begged for another chance, swore she had been blinded, claimed she had cut Mark out of her life completely. But I knew better, because while she was writing me those letters, Mark had already left her. I learned through mutual acquaintances that their affair crumbled the moment I exposed them. Mark, the man she had risked it all for, moved on quickly. He started dating someone else within weeks. He blocked Cynthia, leaving her in the cold. The karma was poetic. She gave up her marriage, her home, her reputation, for a man who never intended to stay. One afternoon, months later, I ran into her by chance. She looked like a ghost of the woman I once knew. Her hair was unkempt, her clothes wrinkled, her eyes hollow. She had lost weight, her cheeks sunken, her once bright smile replaced by a bitter frown. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Please, just talk to me." I stood there, staring at her, feeling a strange mixture of sorrow and vindication. "There's nothing left to say, Cynthia," I replied quietly. Her eyes filled with tears. "I regret everything. Every single day. I ruined us. I ruined you. Please, can't we just—" I shook my head. "No, you chose your path. Now you're living with it." And with that, I walked away, leaving her standing alone in the cold. It's been 2 years since then. I rebuilt my life. I focused on my career, my health, my passions. Slowly, I healed. The scars remain, but they no longer ache. Cynthia, on the other hand, never recovered. Last I heard, she was living with her sister, jobless, still haunted by the wreckage of her choices. Mark had vanished from her life completely, his betrayal as complete as hers. And maybe that's what justice looks like. Not revenge, not rage, but the quiet weight of regret pressing down on the ones who wronged you. As for me, I learned the hardest lesson of all. Love is fragile. Trust is sacred. And betrayal always comes with a price. The end.